Welcome back to Feed the Beast Stoneblock 4. I'm Bumstar, and today we're finally going to knock out the last two items we need to complete the Catalyst questline. We've got some crafting ahead of us, Flux gates through Oritech, and the advanced machine frames with industrial foregoing. Also, we can finish those world engine advanced machine blocks and move on to the next big chapter. So let's get right into it. So I want to start with Oritech because, well, I've never played with Oritech before, and it looks pretty interesting. What we're going to need to craft are the flux gates, which requires some fluxite and platinum ingots and a processing unit that needs to be made in a assembler. To make the assembler, we need some crafters, adamant ingots, some reinforced plating, and some motors. And let's see, for a crafter, that is just a crafting table with a dropper and some redstone, so that's easy enough. So we've got copper reinforced, iron reinforced, and nickel reinforced, as well as carbon reinforced. I'm not sure what the difference is between any of these, but we'll go ahead and just make the copper ones. So one thing we're going to need to set up before we go too much further is automating our mechanism system, so that way we can craft steel whenever we want it, as well as any of the other upgrades. So we're going to do that super quick. So we're going to completely automate this through our AE system, and to do so we have to connect it to the system with our wireless. The first thing that we're going to want to make is the advanced pattern encoder, because we're going to need that, and we're going to go ahead and break all of these so we can set them up how we want them. And we'll go ahead and move our alloy smelter as well, and just move that out of the way for now. We're going to go ahead and set up our enrichment factory here and our infusing factory here, and we'll clear this out, and we'll just keep them basic for now. But we will change this later on, so let's make sure our side configs are all set up. So we want energy on the front, and same thing here, energy on the front, and pop some gates on them. I had to pause there for a second because I ran out of power. My power got backed up somehow. Something was just consuming way too much power, and had to fix that real quick. So I think next episode we're going to have to dive into some better power than our gas burning generators, or just scale this a ton, but we'll see. For now, this will work and we have it going. Anyway, back to what we were working on. So we're going to need to make a advanced pattern provider, and then we're also going to need a regular pattern provider. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this regular pattern provider and put that with our enriching factory. And then our advanced pattern provider is going to go on top of our infusing factory. Go ahead and grab some cables. Now that we have these set up, we have a regular pattern provider for our enriching and a advanced pattern provider. So let's start with our enriching factory. So let's make sure that we set this to input output, and our enriching factory is just going to set up patterns to make enriched carbon, enriched redstone, enriched diamond, enriched obsidian, enriched gold, enriched tin, and enriched iron, just to have all of these going. So let's add those all to our list, and now let's make some patterns for them. So enriched carbon is just going to take coal, place it in here, and turn it into enriched. And now we don't have coal automated yet, but we will with a chicken. And to do that, it's just simply making a coal chicken. We're going to do the same thing with redstone, diamond. We're going to do the same thing with obsidian, but with obsidian, we need refined obsidian dust. So to make refined obsidian dust, that is in an infuser with diamond. So we're not going to start this recipe yet because we need to set up our infusing factory to be able to start this. But what we can do is we can do the obsidian in a crusher to make dust. So what we're going to then do is we're going to find our crusher here and make our obsidian dust there. And then in here, we're going to place our diamond, our redstone, and our carbon. So now whenever we need enriched diamond, we can just hit here, and it's going to send it all in here and push it through. And obviously we will speed this up with energy and speed upgrades in the future to just make this even faster. So in order to do that, we need to use the advanced pattern provider with an infusion factory. So let's set up here. So we're going to turn this to input output, and then we're going to want to set up the extra, and we're going to put the extra as our left. So now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to set up a pattern for infused alloy. An infused alloy is a copper ingot with a redstone. And with the enriched redstone, one enriched redstone in a infuser costs about 10 millibuckets. So let's go ahead and take our enriched, and let's grab one of each here. So if we put a enriched redstone in here, that gives us 80 millibuckets of redstone. So with 80 millibuckets of redstone from a single enriched, we'll be able to do 8 infused alloys with a single enriched redstone. So let's set up the pattern for that. So if we click infused alloy and add, we're gonna get this. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna click to get rid of that. And we're gonna put, oh, not that many. We're gonna go ahead and put 1 single redstone in there, and then we're gonna change the copper to 8. We're gonna change the output to 8. So it's gonna put 8 copper, 1 enriched redstone, and we'll get 8 infused alloys. So let's make that pattern. Now, if we tried to put that pattern in here, that won't work because it's going to try and send all of the inputs in through our regular input output. But we have that extra slot, which is where the enriched redstone goes. So that's where we need the advanced pattern encoder. So with the advanced pattern encoder, we'll open that up and put the pattern in here, and we can leave the copper as its standard face because the pattern provider is going to push it down, and that's where that copper is going to go. But for the enriched, we want to set that to whatever we set the extra for. These are all set to northeast, southwest, up and down. So we're going to set that to the down face of the machine and pull that out. And let's set that extra to the down. So now if we put this in here, and we're going to have to make sure we do this correctly because sometimes I get this wrong, but let's go ahead and request an alloy. Let's see, it's working. So it put all of the redstone in here, and it is now making all of the alloy. And we now have our 10, and it's making a little extra because it's doing 8 at a time. So we get the 16 total. So now we're going to do that exact same thing for all of the other alloys. So if we look at the reinforced alloy, that takes 20 millibuckets of diamond. If we put 1 enriched diamond in there, that is going to give us 80 millibuckets of diamond. So now we just cut that pattern in half. We get rid of the liquid diamond, put 1 in here, and we're going to set the infused alloy to 4 and our reinforced alloy to 4. And then we put it in our encoder here, set that to the down face, take our pattern back out, put it in here, and now we can make the reinforced alloy. And then to do the atomic alloy, we need that reinforced obsidian with a reinforced alloy. And that is going to be 40 millibuckets, so it's going to be 2 reinforced for 2 atomic. But we need to make enriched obsidian. So to make enriched obsidian, we need to make refined obsidian. And to make refined obsidian dust, it is in an infuser with diamond and obsidian dust. And it is 10 millibuckets of diamond. So that'll be the 8 again. So it'll be 8 obsidian dust to make 8 reinforced. So clear that out, put our diamond in, do 8, 8. And then we need to set that up with our advanced encoder, set that down to the down face, pop that in here. And now we can send that reinforced obsidian dust into the enrichment chamber with just a basic pattern. And then we can set up our pattern for the atomic. Clear that out. Put our enriched obsidian in there, and it's going to be 2 and 2. And we set that with our advanced. And then we want to set up all of our basic control circuits. So that is taking osmium with 20 millibuckets of redstone to make 1 basic controller. So we get rid of that, and we put our enriched redstone in here. And that's going to be 8, 8. Sorry, that is actually going to be 4 and 4. And set that up with our advanced encoder. And then we just set up the basic patterns for each of these. And now if we can craft this, we're good to go. And let's make sure that we can craft more of these to make sure that pattern is working correctly. And you want to make sure to set this on the blocking mode so it doesn't overdo it. But as you can see, it is completely cleared out and we're good. So we have all of that mechanism completely set up. So now what we're going to do is set up steel dust. So we already have our carbon set up. All we have to do is make enriched iron and steel dust. So to make enriched iron, that is carbon again. And that is 10 millibuckets of carbon with an iron ingot to make enriched iron. So we're going to take our enriched carbon, and that's going to be 8 iron to to make 8 enriched iron. I'm gonna set that up with our advanced, pop that in here. And then we're gonna do the exact same thing with steel dust, because once again, that is 10 millibuckets. Clear that out, put our enriched in, and set that to 8 enriched iron to make 8 steel dust. Once again, an advanced coder. And then all we have to do is do steel ingot, set up the smelting recipe for it, and we just put that right into our furnace. And now if we need steel, we should be able to request 100 steel. It's going to enrich all the coal. As that coal enriches, it's going to be pushed into here with some iron, and we're good. So now we're going to go ahead and make the mechanism speed and the mechanism energy upgrades and go ahead and automate those. So for that, we need crushed osmium dust. And for this, we need gold dust. So we'll just set up some crusher recipes for this and put those in our crushing factory. And then everything else is automated. So all we have to do is make the patterns for the energy and the speed upgrades and put those in our assemblers. And now they both have 8 speed and 8 energy upgrades, but you can go up to 32 in this pack. We're just going with 8 for now. We'll increase that once our power's a bit better, so we don't just blow through it all. But now that we have that all set up, we now have steel set up, and that was the whole point of that, really, was just to get steel going. So now we can finally get into Oritech, now that we took a little pit stop and did Mekanism. And now that we have steel set up, we can go ahead and make our motors. We need 2 of those. And now all we're missing is a reinforced plating, and I'm just going to make the copper one for now. Let's go ahead and auto craft the other items needed, and we will make our assembler. And we'll go ahead and put our assembler right here. And we're going to need 3 core blocks, and I believe we actually have some. So place those down, right click on the machine itself, and we now have our assembler. And I think we can just put a gate on this. There we go, it's now filled up. And we can do add-ons. And what add-ons do within this, I believe, is increase the processing speed and the energy efficiency. But we're not too worried about that for now, because now we need to make our flux gates. And to make our flux gates, we need a processing unit. And to make a processing unit, we need plastic, carbon fiber strands, electrum ingots, and redstone. And well, to make plastic, we need dry rubber. And to make dry rubber, well, we can make a rubber chicken, or we make a latex processing unit to create dry rubber with the latex that we already have. So let's go ahead and make one of these. Pattern provider. And with this pattern provider, we are going to allow this to make latex, or allow this to make dried rubber. So I believe all we have to do is pump in our latex. We're going to pull, and we're going to pull water from here. And then we're going to take our output and push it to the top. Actually, before we do that, let's leave it as it is, so that way it pumps some of the latex in here. So now we need to make a pattern for dry rubber. And to do that, we actually need to set this pattern specifically. So we're going to take latex, put water in here, make a pattern for that for dry rubber. And let's go ahead and try and make one. So that's not enough. So what we're going to then do is take that pattern back out and adjust that to 2 buckets. I probably should put some power on here. That might make a difference. So 3,000 and 3,000, how much latex does that make? All right, so 3,000 millibuckets makes 4 latex, and we only need 2,000 water. So we're going to go ahead and set that pattern up exactly for that. So it is 3,000 millibuckets of latex and 2,000 millibuckets of water. So 3 buckets and 2 buckets, because we still have 1 bucket left here. So let's break this real quick to see if that clears the water out. It does. Perfect. All right. So then latex and water are pulled from the top. Put that back in here. Let's make how many was that? That was 4, right? We want to set that correctly so we know. So set that to 4. So 3 buckets, 2 buckets, 4. Place that pattern back in. Let's go ahead and make 4. I gotta put that gate back down. Perfect. All right. So now we have latex completely automated through this without having to constantly start and stop it. So now whenever we need it, we can just request it, or we could get rid of this and put an interface down to just push all of our latex and infinite water into here. So this will always be full and just always be pumping it, but then we're going to start backing up on it. Before we automate the latex to come out, we're going to go ahead and put that in a drawer here. So that way it always has somewhere to go. And then we just come into the output and set that to push, and now it is completely automated. So now we can set up plastic, and plastic is just smelting that dry rubber in our furnace. And now we have plastic. So for the processing unit, we needed 1 plastic, and now we need a carbon fiber strand, which means we're going to need a centrifuge. And to make a centrifuge, it is just some blocks of iron, copper ingots, glass bottles, and 2 motors. Now we're going to need another block here. And let's hit that. Go ahead and place a gate on there. So to make that carbon fiber, we just need to put coal dust in here. And to make coal dust, we can crush coal. And now we're getting our carbon fiber strands. So now we just need some electrum ingots. And that's going to be electrum dust, which is made with silver and gold into electrum and our infusers. So we're gonna go ahead and set up the pattern for that. So the first thing that we're gonna need to do is we're going to need to set up our gold. Our enriched gold is gold dust, so we'll place that in our enrichment chamber. And then for the electrum, it is going to be silver dust. So let's set up a crushing recipe for silver ingots. And then we just need to do this pattern. Actually, let's look at that first. That is 10 millibuckets. So we're gonna do 8 and 16, and that should equal out correctly. Let's put that in our infusion factory. Oh, actually, we need to take that back out. We need to use our advanced pattern provider encoder, and now we place it in our infusion factory. And let's go ahead and make the electrum dust. Let's do 10, and now all we have to do is set up the electrum ingots in our smelter, put that into our furnace here, and now we have electrum ingots, but we've already had some from previous. Doesn't hurt to have them. So now all we need is some redstone and our plastic. Go ahead and make 7 more of these. So if we put all 4 of these in here, that should start making our processor units. And we'll end with 3 because, well, our energy is once again lacking. But now that we have our processing units, now all we need left is our fluxite. And to make fluxite, we're going to need our enderitic laser. And to make that, we're going to need some more reinforced plating, some more motors, and the lens. And to make the lens, it is a carbon fiber strand, adamant ingots, and enderitic compound. Make out enderitic compound, that is just going to be ender dust in the centrifuge, and we need 2 of them, so we just need some ender dust. Just a single one will do. Pop that in there, and that might use all of our power. It looks like it did. All right, we're gonna take our dense energy cube and just go utilize that for now. There we go. Now let's take that, and we'll place the ender cube there. Make sure that's full up. Now we need our adamant. I believe that was those, that, and that. I love the sound effects and the animations of Oritech machines. Pretty cool. So now we just need our 2 motors and then our copper reinforced. Place that down, put that there, right click. And now we have our laser. So all we have to do is take amethyst. I think the only issue we're going to run into is we need the fluxite, but to make the fluxite, it needs to hit a amethyst cluster. So to hit an amethyst cluster, we're going to need budding amethyst. And to make budding amethyst, we can do amethyst with the enderitic compound and an overcharged crystal. And an overcharged crystal looks like it might be a bit too much for us to make. Yeah, it doesn't look like that's going to be viable yet. Let's see, transforming focus. Ooh, I can do this. All right, so this is the recipe that we're going to use in our molecular metamorpher. So we're going to need a block of amethyst, a transforming focus, and to make the transforming focus, that is going to be a cognitive crystal with 4 amethyst shards and redstone. So we have our molecular metamorpher here, one of those, and this, and that makes our transforming focus. And we just needed a block of amethyst. with the transforming focus, and that should make a budding amethyst block. Perfect. So if I am reading this correctly, what we should be able to do then, so let's move this guy. We're going to put him right in the corner here. And then I think if we just put, how do I get him to work? Let's see. Okay, so it looks like we need to make our target designator. So that's 3 processing units with plastic, steel, and electrum. That shouldn't be too bad. I need to sneak right click. That's not at all. Does that work? Getting us stone pebbles and a torch. There we go. Perfect. So, glad that wasn't anything important down there. Anyway, we now have a fluxite being made, but now that we have fluxite, we can make our flux gate, and we're gonna need to make another processing unit. Now we just need platinum, 2 fluxite, and our processing. That's gonna be processing, fluxite. There we go. We have our 2 flux gates. So if we look at the quest line here, we have our assembler done and our flux gates done. So all we have left is our advanced machine frame, which we already have our plastic. We just do not have a mob slaughter factory yet. So let's make one of these and let's go set that up at our mob farm. So we're gonna come over here and we're gonna go ahead and turn this off, and we're going to put our mob slaughter factory right here. Show working area. Actually, go ahead and break that, and let's put that right here. And now what we need to do is we need to increase the range of this, as well as automate it so that way it starts taking in fluids. Of course, our power is so limited right now that we're going to need our mechanism cube. So normally what I would do is I would set up a wireless connector up there and just send the slime directly to our system, but since we are super low on power, we're making a fluid drawer for it. We go ahead and increase the amount for those, and then once we have a bucket of our pink slime and our liquid meat, we will send those into that storage and then link it and put a fluid pipe over to our controller access point over here. It's gonna look a little rough, but it gets the job done for now. Since we don't really have another option, we need to make some range upgrades, and we need to extend that by, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And to make the 5 upgrade, just requires latex with our dissolution chamber. So we're gonna need to make a dissolution chamber. Now we have our dissolution chamber, and we'll go ahead and set that up over here where we already have our wireless set up, and we'll place that right there. Let's make a pattern provider, place you on top. Let's grab our cables and connect you to the system, and then input will be pull from top, fluid input will be pull from top, output will be push, and fluid output will be push. And then we're going to go ahead and take our energy cube that we have sitting over here and set that next to our dissolution chamber so it's nice and powered. And then we'll set up a pattern for our range upgrade, which is just panes of glass, copper, latex, and redstone. So before we do that, we need to set up our panes of glass, and then let's set up our range upgrade because everything else is automated. Put that in here, range, like this, there we go. Let's go place that on our mob slaughter factory. As you can see, it is now filling up with liquid meat and pink slime, so let's grab a bucket of each, go put them in our fluid drawers. Liquid meat here, pink slime there, configure those and link them to the system. So now pink slime is in here and liquid meat will also be there. Now we need to grab our pipes, fluid pipes with our wrench, and we just need to run a pipe over here and pull. Now liquid meat and pink slime are automated with our mob farm. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but we'll go ahead and turn this back on. Now we have 2 different things killing everything. Means we will slowly get some pink slime and liquid meat while the rest of them are getting killed. But now that we have our mob slaughter factory, we just need to make a advanced machine frame, and that requires pink slime. We're missing the simple machine frame, the netherite scraps, and the diamond gear. We have the pink slime being made now, so let's go ahead and look at these. All right, well, we have 2 scraps. So we're gonna need another one, and that is by brushing at netherrack. So let's see how these are looking. Import netherrack. See not there. Oh no, we need the dimensionless for netherrack, right? That is correct. But that should now be giving us netherite scraps, even if it's slowly. There we go. We now have our 4 netherite scraps. So let's make our simple machine frame. And our simple machine frame is a piety machine. Plastic, nether brick, and gold gear with latex. So let's make our gold gears, our nether bricks. Let's make our pity machine frame, which is just wood with iron and a block of redstone. Everything is automated for that now. We can put that in our dissolution. Let's go ahead and see simple, craft one, see if it goes. Perfect. And now we just need our advanced. Make 2 of these, and now we have our advanced machine frames. And we're gonna go ahead and have to make 2 more flux gates because I didn't realize that I needed 2 per. So let's make those super quick, and we've got everything. So other than that, we just need an absolute crap ton of power. So let's head to the world engine and see if our 2 cubes will be enough power for this. Yep, doesn't look like that's enough power, so we're gonna need to go fill those up. Go ahead and let those fill up in our inventory. That seems to work. And I think that made our advanced world engine machine blocks. And let's see what we get from our gift of stone. Blaze gold helmet. Not at all what we were hoping for. Now let's go speak to the catalyst. That's it for me. Okay, didn't need to speak to him. Let's go ahead and hand in our world engine upgrade. And there we go. We have now upgraded our world engine with our advanced machine blocks, which now means we have quite a few new things that we can craft. So I think next episode we fix our power problem, because, well, that's our #1 priority, is just making sure that we have enough power to do everything that we want to do. And then after that, I think we do a little more automation, because we can now make the reaction chamber through applied energistics, which opens up a ton of new crafts as well. And we start working on our computer system a little more, flush it out so it's big and strong and we don't run into any more issues. And then we move on to the next quest. So we upgraded our world engine. We dabbled in some Oritech, which is pretty cool. And we got some industrial foregoing going with our mob slaughter factory for pink slime and liquid meat, and our dissolution chamber. So quite a bit of crafting going on this episode. And to top that all off, we have completely automated the basics of Mekanism. So anytime that we need anything from those few crafts, we can just request it and it is there for us. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next episode. And leave a like and comment down below. What power are you guys using in your Stoneblock worlds? Because 3 gas burning generators just isn't quite cutting it. And I think it might be time to play around with some form of reactor, or possibly just some power thermo generators. If you'd like to hang out with the community, join the Discord server. We have a Stoneblock 4 server open to anybody that would like to join, and the Discord is there to chat if you have any questions or just want to hang out. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Bumstar, and I will see you in the next one. Later.